Well, ladies and gentlemen, maybe we could begin. Well, firstly, I think most of you will know me, Rob Mark, head of the Centre for Lifelong Learning, and I'd just like to welcome you all to Glasgow on this nice snowy day. We don't get snow actually very often in Glasgow, believe it or not. So it's quite exciting for us. What I'm going to do now is introduce you to Françoise de Véron from EUCEN, who's going to say a word of welcome to everyone.
So thank you, Rob. So on behalf of EUCEN, I would like to welcome all of you, the partners, the project partners of EUCEN, but also the invited speakers. For EUCEN, just to remind you that for EUCEN this dialogue project is a very important one, so to identify how to bridge the gap between research and practice in lifelong learning, in university lifelong learning. So I suppose that all of you knows EUCEN, and so it's this association, this European Association for promotion of university lifelong learning. And I wish us, you and me, I wish us a very fruitful day, very creative, a lot of new ideas, because a lot of work has already been done, and Rob will explain it during this project, and I think we need some more new ideas in order to fit our recommendation and our suggestion for this dialogue project. So thank you for your participation.
Thank you very much, Françoise, for your warm welcome to us all. Now what I'm going to do is just tell you a little bit about the project, because for our visitors, some of them may not be so aware of the aims of the project. But firstly, just to say something about where we are. Well, I think most of you have got to know George Square, maybe not with the snow last night, but we had a very pleasant meal there last night. It's round the corner for us, and for us it's one of the symbols of the buildings in Glasgow, of the history of Glasgow, and so close to our university. And here you'll see a picture of our founding father, John Anderson, who, when Strathclyde University was set up, one of his ideas about the university was that it should be a place of useful learning. That was back in 1796. And I think when you think about our project, which is about trying to make knowledge useful, then I think there's no project that could be any more closely in line with the founding mission of this University of Strathclyde. Strathclyde is quite a large university, offering many different programs really in all subjects. It's perhaps got a particular scientific focus, and our emphasis in recent times is to become a technological university. We are a technological university, but to become even more focused in an international arena on technology and learning. So it's also quite appropriate that this project, which has one of its groups focusing on research and links with research between technology and learning, is part of the project. Just a few words about the Centre for Lifelong Learning. I think it's always nice when visitors come to at least know something about the place they're at. And the centre here has existed since back in the 1960s. I think it was 1968 that the Centre for Lifelong Learning was set up. We've got about 8,000 students at present who are all studying part-time, and 15 full-time staff. But the big bulk of our teaching staff are part-time tutors. We have around 200 part-time tutors who teach a very wide range of subject areas, and I've mentioned some of those areas there for you I think as visitors you'll probably be interested to know we have a very large language programme here in the Centre for Lifelong Learning, catering for at some point over the years in all, I would think, most languages in Europe, which is perhaps sometimes unusual in the UK. We also focus a lot on programs that will encourage access to education, people who want to come to higher education who previously has not had the opportunity. And so a lot of our adult students might be coming here for the first time. But we also have a lot of people that are already have degrees and who are coming to develop their own professional development, their continuing professional development in a wide range of programs. And we also have our own research and knowledge exchange programs which we have been developing particularly in the last few years. Here's just an example of one of our innovative, might say, knowledge exchange programs. It's our courses in genealogy. I'm not sure whether everyone will fully understand what genealogy is about. It's really looking at the history of families and people and connections. And it's a very fast-growing area. And we have, I think, one of the few masters in the world. Our team like to think that our programs in genealogy are among the most advanced and few across the globe. But one area that we're particularly known well for, both in the UK and in Europe, is our learning in later life programs. I know that a number of you know about these already, and I know that Andrea, sitting at the back there, President of EUCEN, has been here many times to see the kind of good work that we have been doing in learning in later life. We have about 2,000 enrolments in this programme, although some of those people take more than one course, and if we counted all the courses that people take, it's about 4,000 per annum, with about 250 classes. These classes are specially for older learners, people over 50, and they have their own student association, which has about 900 members. And these people pay a fee to be part of the association. The association works in conjunction with the centre, with the staff in the centre, with the university, and with outside agencies working for the needs of older people. And they have their own, as well as their classes, they have their own clubs and societies. There are very many, for example, many language clubs. Many of these older learners are interested to learn foreign languages and go away and attend summer schools. I know that very often they're at the older learning summer school in the Balearic Islands in the summertime. And we also have recently set up a research group in learning in later life. And this group has been doing a number of things, and later on this morning, some of the people that are involved with that research group, staff and students, are going to talk to you about some of the activities and what the group is about. So I leave it to them to say more about that. But just to finally say on that we celebrated the 25th anniversary of these programs just last year. So they are something that's been going for quite a long time. They continue to go from strength to strength, and we see it as a very important part of the work within the centre. And some of the programs more recently in this Learning in Later Life programme have focused on trying to get adults into work, and people that are coming out of jobs that maybe want to change direction and take up new opportunities. And recently the university agreed a set of principles, a set of guiding principles to make universities more friendly towards older learners. And the next stage in this project will be to try and engage other departments across the university to welcome older learners onto their programs. Not all the things that people in these programs do are to do with academic studies. Some of the activities are concerned with volunteering and supporting other activities both in the university and outside. And some of the things that they do here, like providing tours around the university in summertime for visitors, or supporting learners in the hospitals, particularly in the spinal injuries unit. We've had a big project in that area, going out to the schools and helping young people in disadvantaged schools, particularly with their English and maths, but other subjects too. So there's quite a wide range of social and volunteering activities that these people are involved with. Now, perhaps onto the project itself, and I know that many of you are involved with the project that are in the room and know the aims quite well, so please forgive me if I just go over some of these things for the visitors, because we also have a number of visitors in the room who won't really know a lot about the project. The Dialogue project, I think, is a very innovative project, and it's very relevant today. The idea to build, to look at the relationship between research and practice, and to see how universities, the knowledge that universities produce, how that can be used more effectively across the whole education field and beyond. And so we've been thinking a lot about what the models might be for this, and trying to think about what kind of ways we would recommend as a group to build this bridge. And we've been doing this through 4 main themes. The first is about access to universities and progression. The second is about quality enhancement. The third one is to do with guidance and learning. And the fourth one to do with new media. And probably in the afternoon, some of the discussions will come up around those themes in the groups, and how, what are the kind of points we're learning from the presentations today, or are there questions that we want to take further forward in that discussion. So I think if we're trying to simplify what the whole thing is about today, I think we could say that firstly we're trying to widen this debate and to share ideas across Europe. And so we've invited a number of key people from various countries to come and address us this morning. And I'm looking very much forward to hearing what they have to say. I know it's very interesting and going to be very relevant and useful to us in the project in bringing our ideas forward. And then we're all the time trying to think, because we're moving into the final phase of this project, what kind of recommendations are we going to make overall about building these bridges between research and practice in lifelong learning? And I think this will be very crucial to the whole field of lifelong learning right across Europe and beyond. So I think the project has potential to have impact far beyond this room and far beyond our universities. So I think I've probably said enough for now about the project. What I would like to do is introduce you to Professor Jerry Smith to say a few words. I know some of you may have at earlier times had Professor Donald Christie on your programme. Unfortunately, Donald can't be with us this morning because he's on his way to China this morning, if he's managed to be able to leave. But Jerry Smith, who's the research professor within the School of Education, has kindly agreed at short notice to come along and say a few words of welcome to you. So Jerry, you're very welcome.
morning. Thank you very much indeed for coming to Scotland today and for coming to the University of Strathclyde for this symposium in the Dialogue project. Rob did mention that the University of Strathclyde's founding principle is to be a place of useful learning, which does seem to resonate very well indeed with the aims and intentions of the Dialogue project. I have to say that I do love the name Dialogue. I think you've really got a good name there, which is definitely going to get your work noticed and will be something that will attract attention, I'm sure, internationally. As Rob also said, I'm not Donald Christie. I know that many of you, on seeing the name Jerry, may also have thought it was another male, but I'm not. So one of the things I want to do is give you a very warm welcome from Professor Christie, who's the head of the School of Education here at the University of Strathclyde. He is probably at this moment sitting in the airport in Paris, waiting for his flight to Beijing, where he's going to be meeting with deans from a number of Chinese universities, looking to further collaboration in both research and in teaching with educational institutions in China. If you'll excuse me a minute, I'll put on my glasses and try and juggle this and my glasses. I did notice when I was looking at the list of attendees that there were a couple of people here from institutions with which I have had and continue to have collaborations. I don't know if Tatiana has made it from Coper. Yes. And Alfredo, is it, from Porto? Hi. So a particularly good hello to you, because I do have a number of colleagues in your institutions. The University of Strathclyde also prides itself on being an age-aware institution, and I think that is particularly relevant for the work of the Dialogue project. I am myself, as well as Director of Research in the School of Education, I'm a student at the Centre of Lifelong Learning. I'm in my 4th year of studying Spanish there and really enjoying doing so, and had an exam last night. So I know what it's like to be a student, continue to know what it's like to be a student and having the pressures of revision for exams as well. The University of Strathclyde, you may know or may not know, was voted Times Higher Education University of the Year for 2012 to 2013. And the work of the Centre for Lifelong Learning and the development of the age-aware policy in the university helped to achieve that status of University of the Year. So although you may be thinking that you're in a kind of very wintry place, we're giving you a warm welcome, but we are also the UK University of the Year. Within the School of Education, our research is framed under 4 themes, and the work of the Centre for Lifelong Learning aligns with at least 3 of those themes. So I lead the theme on equity, diversity and social justice, and clearly when you're talking about lifelong learning, there are implications for equity and social justice issues. Another research theme in the School of Education is professional learning, led by Dr. Aileen Kennedy, which looks particularly at the learning undertaken by professionals once they've graduated as teachers, as social workers, as community education workers, and so on. And again, I think there are resonances with the work of the Dialogue project. A third research theme led by Dr. Vivian Smith is learning, teaching and curriculum, where again there are connections with the Centre for Lifelong Learning, with approaches to learning and teaching. And one of our newest members of staff, who I'm sure you'll encounter over the day, Dr. Christina Costa here, is particularly interested in developing technology in learning, distance learning related to lifelong learning. And the 4th research theme, perhaps which seems a little bit less connected to your own work, led by Dr. Claire Cassidy, is on children and childhood. The research the vast majority of the research, and not all of the research in the School of Education, is directly applied research. And in recognition of that, we were part of a consortium which received funding from the Scottish Government and the Scottish Higher Education Funding Council of £2 million to develop applied educational research. That was a 5-year project which is now finished, but the legacy of that project continues in our work, in that we continue to work collaboratively across Scottish institutions of higher education, but also to work in very close contact with partners in the field, both within local government, national government, and also within third sector and charitable organisations. Rob alluded to the work that was done by the members of the Learning in Later Life programme, and that is actually coordinated by the School of Education, a project that's called the Intergenerational Mentorship Programme, which has been really well received in schools, where older adults are working with school pupils from disadvantaged areas, and not only working on their academic skills, but also building their social capital within the areas where they're living. As I said, we have close collaborations and funding from local government, Scottish Government, UK Government, European projects, which is the reasons why I've been working with both COPER and Porto. And the teaching, research and knowledge exchange in the School of Education are all very closely linked. Our research informs our teaching become practitioners, our practitioners take that into their field of work and then feed back into our research. Our knowledge exchange is a two-way process where practitioners and workers in the third sector feed into our research and we feed back. A very recent collaboration that I'm in the process of developing is with the local authority, Glasgow City Council, and a number of charitable trusts working with Roma families in Glasgow. We have a growing number of Roma families, and we've developed a project which is looking at interactions of Roma households with education and health, with a focus in education being very much on also the informal education that happens within the households and in the extended networks, international networks, and the informal education that the Roma households have access to. That's all I'm going to say, because I know that you've got a very full agenda today to develop the work of your project. But I really am looking forward to the published results of your work. As I say, dialogue could have a very important place in the future of European education. And I think can inform the way forward. I do hope that some of you who are visiting are able to stay over the weekend. Fortunately, the city of Glasgow has a lot of fantastic indoor attractions, so you can shelter from the snow. But I wish you all the very best for your deliberations today. Thank you again very much indeed for coming. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.